Hey, what's up guys? This is Sibo here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Gemstone Legends. Now today's Thursday, so it is a day where you're going to see the announcements for the new heroes for the week. For this week, there's going to be two new heroes, one legendary hero Mara, and the other one is going to be an epic hero, Kratar. I do plan to talk about the heroes in more depth once the hero's out so I can actually show you how they work. But what I wanted to do in today's video actually is to talk about the skill that Mara is going to have because it is brand new for the game. And also I wanted to talk about some recent development for this, hero introduction and some of the discussions that's been taking place in the official Discord server. So let's talk about the skill first. So Mara is a new legendary hero. She's a warrior type and her skill will inflict soul link on all enemies for one turn. Now, this is the first time we're seeing in the game where you're going to be able to place a positive stat on an enemy as opposed to a negative stat. And Soul Link has always been associated with the hero Odium because of his special ability, or actually for his passive ability, that makes him really strong against a hero or a defense team such as Kerrigan. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to focus the rest of the video to talk about Odium, his skills, what the changes are going to be, and why this is causing a lot of discussions right now. Wanted to get your feedback on it and also give my take as well. But first, before that, we're going to hear from my sponsor for this video. Today's video is sponsored by Bloodline Heroes of Lithis. I'm happy to say that Bloodline Heroes of Lithis features some very cool high-octane combat gameplay, and this game has one of the most unique gacha gameplay I've ever seen. Download and try the game for free using my link or scan the QR code on the screen and receive an amazing starter pack. Bloodline Heroes of Lithis introduces a new Bloodline every 2 weeks with sleek 3D realistic designs and unique abilities for each gender. You can summon champions, capture prisoners, and breed with other champions to build your kingdom and defend the world. Check out the new Bloodline release this Easter, the Choir Discordant, who are revenants returned to life to bring those that wronged them to their end. You can create over thousands of unique fantasy hybrids by blending bloodlines of your choice to personalize your champions. These hybrids inherit traits, talents, and unique appearances from both family trees, resulting in an endless array of possibilities. By combining the bloodlines of creatures such as elves, demons, demigods, orcs, dwarves, lycans, dragonborn, vampires, and more, you can forge your very own legendary champions. Deploy your team of hybrids to a vast and realistic fantasy world, decorate kingdom with festive skins, and remember, all players can obtain uniquely designed hybrid champions, Bloodcraft Legends, by earning points in seasonal guild wars. New bloodlines and legendary hybrids are constantly being released into the game, which means that the possibilities are endless for you to seek out the greatest hybrid to suit your style. Download the game right now for free using both Android and iOS. You can use the description in my link in the description below, or you can scan the QR code that's on the screen. By using my link in the description, you will get a starter pack worth $20 that contains a summoning crystal, 100,000 gold, and also 100 diamonds. The first 30 players who leave their in-game account ID and username in the comments below will receive a free legendary female orc champion, Ugru, one of the best warriors to carry in the game. Download now and build your own legendary champion. So as mentioned, this video is actually going to be focused on Odium. And we're going to talk about his skills. I've never actually really covered Odium quite in depth, or at least not for this particular purpose. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the skills and why this is so useful in situations where you're up against teams that have Soul Link. So his ability is that he's going to give himself increased critical chance, and this is very critical because it is directly related to his passive ability. And then what he does is he'll hit an enemy 3 times based on his own attack, based on his own speed, and then based on the enemy's speed. And then he will also automatically cast silence on a hero or on the enemy for 5 turns, unless the enemy is already immune to silence. But this is a guarantee, very useful skill on its own, but his passive ability actually makes it even stronger. So at max level, what he does is he will gain 10 mana for every critical damage that he deals with his special ability. Now, given that he does 3 attacks, it actually counts 3 times. So that means when you hit a hero with 3 different times, and if they're all critical damage, you actually gain 30 mana for that hit. So the reason now this becomes very crucial is because when you go up against a hero that has a soul link, this actually gets multiplied. I'm going to show you a video to show you what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to explain why Odium is so powerful against a defense team that uses Kerrigan, and why Kerrigan is in such a disadvantage against the Odium. So you can see that right now against the team that I'm facing here, Kerrigan's on the team and he has placed Soul Link on all of the allies that he has. And what this means is they all share damage. And so what Odium does is Odium will first attack any enemy and the damage is shared across everyone. And that in itself is by design. And so is the fact that he will place silence on any of the enemies he hits. But now what happens is, because he's getting the damage spread across all of the enemies and he's getting critical hits across all of them, he's essentially getting an infinite mana loop. You can see here, I essentially found the hit against the hero that will give me the most damage, and that is against Morena. And now what's happened here is I'm basically just, getting my mana over and over again until I can completely take him out. And if you can max out your mana, you can basically do this from 5 heroes down to 4 heroes, and only when it's at 3 heroes or less, that's when you stop getting the infinite mana loop. And that is why Odium is, at such an advantage against Kerrigan defense teams, whether it's in the arena or in Guild Wars. And so this is going to be a part where I think it's more of like an opinion piece right now. Having seen Mara's skill where she inflicts Soul Link on all enemies, and knowing that what Odium can do with Soul Link on enemies, you can imagine what it's like when I first saw this announcement. Immediately I knew that if I paired Mara with Odium, it would be an invincible pairing. Because before, I would need to depend on my opponents putting in Kerrigan to enable me to utilize Odium's skill. Now, if I have Mara, all I have to do is pair Mara and Odium together, and I have myself a guaranteed way to completely annihilate my opponents. And so I knew that that wasn't going to be to be sustainable for the game, and I expected some change to happen. I expected that they were going to make a change to Odium's skill, and I wasn't surprised when I saw this announcement. But I know that there are 2 sides to this, and there are people who are not very happy with this at all. And the reason for that is because Odium's skill was discovered based on the description of the card, the passive ability, and there were discussions around what this means when he could inflict multiple critical damage. And when it was discovered that all we have to do is upgrade his ability to gain this benefit, a lot of people decided to use their tomes for upgrading Odium, and it's not easy upgrading an Astral hero. It is a lot more expensive, and so in this particular case, this change is considered to be a nerf, and because of that, they feel like their assets and their resources have been wasted. And so there's definitely that side of the story as well. And I'm interested to hear what you think. Personally, it is unfortunate that this is the case, but I could completely see why this is the case, and I do believe that this is better for the health of the game in the long run. If we didn't do this, I fear for the imbalance that this is going to introduce. I think there's already going to be some imbalance as soon as Mara comes out, because this skill is still going to be available. So it is still going to be abused for a little bit until the patch comes out. And I do think that it's important to address this issue head on to make sure that this isn't something that is going to perpetuate. So if people know that this is going away, it may change their decision in how they want to invest in Mara. I think it's important to be informed. So I want it to be clear to everyone right now before you get Mara that Odium's skill is going to be changed. So don't base your decision to go after Mara because of Odium. Understand that this is at best going to give you some advantage for a short period of time, and then that's going to go away. And so I want to be clear today, and also when I make a video about Maras to help you make a decision about your purchase. Now, having said all this, is Odium completely useless as a hero without this benefit? Well, I wanted to show that even though he may not be able to benefit from the Soul Link ability much longer, his skill on its own is still really important because of the fact that he can have a guaranteed silence on heroes as long as they are not as long as they don't have immunity or if they themselves aren't immune to silence. So here's an example. I can actually go ahead and just, silence Mobrak here immediately if I can get my skill off. And what happens here is Mobrak is not that scary if he just uses his gem attacks. The nice thing about the beautiful thing about silence here is that if you can silence an opponent, and generally they're less scary they're less scary when they use their gem attacks, then you actually can withstand a lot more hits. Okay, so it is something that is going to be very helpful. So in this case, what you want to do is you always want to silence the hero that's going to give you the most trouble, and then you want to silence the hero that's going to give you immunity, or is going to heal, or is going to take away the negative stats. So generally, I always like to try and silence Sigil if I see her, or Helica because she's a healer. And so these are kind of the things that you can do to really help out. And having Odium on the team, even without the benefit of having the Soul Link, is actually really good. Keep in mind, I hardly actually get to fight teams that have Kerrigan on them. Right, so it's not like I'm able to use this all the time, but I can still use this to, for a lot of, I can use this pretty effectively. So I'm going to go ahead and use Odium on Necros, and you can see that I can now protect myself from getting hit, and the only person that's going to be able to use the skill is actually going to be Streetblock. Okay, so I can go ahead and not worry about this. I can just let them do what they need to do, right? I protected my Odium, so he's not going to die, and I'm not worried about the active skills from any of my opponents. And so now what I can do is I can go ahead and I just kind of pick them off one by one, right, using my heroes. And Odium on his own can also deal relatively good damage, as you can see here. So it is not like he is only good for using... he's not just good for silence, although this is one of the primary things that he is going to be really helpful on, because he can actually do, he gives silence for 5 turns, which is a very long time. That's a very, very good skill. Like Cyrene is the other hero that I really like using, and he does silence for 4 turns. Okay, and so 5 turns here, this is a really good length of silence, and it is a very strong skill on its own. Okay, and you can see like, he actually can get his mana gain pretty quickly. I have him built relatively fast. That's why he is, that's why his health is really low. But because I can have him go more often, this really helps out. Okay, and so I think we're going to go ahead and finish this fight at this point. So we're just going to go ahead and take care of him right here. And then that's the fight. So this is with Odium. This is, without his, benefit of using the Soul Link with Mara, but you can imagine if he has Mara, and this could make it really easy. So I wanted to make sure that I raise awareness on what this means, what people are talking about, and also make sure that people understand that this isn't something that you're going to be able to count on later on. So this way you don't end up chasing after Mara only to find out that what you had expected would work actually doesn't. So anyways, hopefully this helps you understand how Odium works and what his skill means, and also just like a little bit about what to expect for tomorrow's hero release. That's going to be it from me for today, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.